My child, come closer to me now. Let every sound around you soften. Let every weight on your shoulders loosen its grip, for I am drawing you into a place where only my voice can reach. There is something stirring around your life, something whispered in hidden corners, something spoken in a room you were never invited into. And before you hear any other detail, I want your heart anchored in my presence, steadied beneath my hand, safe inside my knowing. Nothing touches your name without first passing through my sight. Nothing forms against you without me rising to meet it. Nothing unfolds around you without my spirit hovering above it. You have felt it, haven't you? That quiet, unsettling pressure in the atmosphere. A sense that your name has been moving where you have not walked. A sensation in your chest that something shifted in the distance. Something you couldn't explain with logic but could feel with the sensitivity of your spirit. This is why I called you here. This is why my voice found you today. I do not reveal these things to frighten you, but to prepare you, protect you, and lift you above the shadows that others tried to cast over your destiny. There is a reason the quiet around you has felt different lately, heavier than normal, as if someone spoke words that reached your spirit before they ever reached your ears. My child, that knowing inside you was not imagination. It was me. It was the stirring of the divine shield I placed around your life. For before darkness whispers your name, I whisper mine over you. Before any conversation plots against you, I speak coverings of fire, clarity, and divine reversal. You are not alone in this moment. You are not unguarded. I am here, and I am the one who sees the meeting that took place, the faces that gathered, the motives they tried to hide from one another, the tone in the room when your name surfaced. I saw how the atmosphere shifted. I saw how tension rose. I saw the discomfort of one heart who knew the truth but remained silent. I saw the intention of another who used your name as a tool, a weapon, a test. And I saw the invisible hands of jealousy circling like shadows around a flame they could not put out. But before we walk into all of that, I speak peace over you now. Peace that wraps your chest. Peace that steadies your breathing. Peace that reminds you that you are never blindsided in the spirit, even if you are surprised in the natural. I have been preparing you. I have been strengthening your discernment. I have been making your intuition sharper than any spoken accusation. Your spirit recognized the conversation long before you learned it existed. That is the mark of my covering over your life. My child, as you listen to my voice, let the fear that tried to cling to you dissolve. Let the dread that brushed your thoughts fall away. Let the anxiety that rose without explanation be released from your body. For what I reveal to you today is not meant to harm you, but to show you just how deeply I am involved in every unseen moment that concerns your name. This is not a story of you being left vulnerable. This is a story of how I have already stepped ahead of you, already corrected what was meant to distort, already dismantled what was meant to discourage you. And as you hear these words, let your heart stay open, because I will walk you into the truth with care. You will not be overwhelmed. You will not be shaken. You will be strengthened, informed, aligned, and uplifted. For when I reveal a hidden matter, I also reveal the protection, the justice, and the destiny wrapped around it. Before I take you deeper, breathe and remain with me. You are safe in my hands. You are held under my covering, and nothing spoken behind closed doors can override the voice of your God. My child, I will now bring you into the room you never entered, the place where your name was spoken without your presence, the atmosphere charged with intentions that were not pure. I take you there gently, so you may see without fear, so you may understand what was done in secret and why I am revealing it now. for nothing hidden stays concealed when my light decides to rise upon it. There was a meeting, a gathering formed quietly, ranged in haste yet cloaked in the appearance of necessity. But I saw the truth beneath the surface. I watched the way the participants move it, their minds occupied not with honesty, but with agendas woven from insecurity, jealousy, and uncertainty about your rising influence. Not all who attended were against you, but the tone in the room shifted once your name was spoken, and I want you to understand that shift. The moment your name entered the conversation, the atmosphere thickened. It was not spoken casually. It was not mentioned in passing. It was introduced with intention, as if someone had been waiting for the right moment to place you at the center of their concerns. You were the subject they wanted to evaluate, to question, to dissect. And yet, none of them had the right to navigate your destiny. None had the authority to define your path. Only I do. One voice in that room carried particular weight, a voice that spoke about you with a subtle blend of fascination and apprehension. They tried to mask the discomfort in their tone, but the deeper motive was fear of the influence you carry, fear of the clarity you walk in, fear that your presence disrupts the plans that darkness tried to form through them. Another voice echoed agreement, but their intention was different. This one did not fear you. They envied you. They felt threatened by the grace upon your life, by the attention you draw without effort, by the quiet confidence that unsettles those who operate in shadows. Yet there was one person there whose heart did not agree with the direction the meeting began to take. Your silence was loud. They felt the wrongdoing. They recognized the shift toward something toxic, something unjust. What fear held them back from defending you? They wanted to speak, but could not. Your hesitation created an internal war, one they are still wrestling with even now. You will understand more about this later, for their silence will matter in the unfolding of truth. I want you to see how unnecessary this meeting truly was. The topic, the tone, the secretiveness, they were all designed to evaluate your worth in environments that were never meant to hold your name. They discussed you as if your destiny could be influenced by their opinions, as if the path I crafted for you could be altered by their doubts or suspicions. But what they failed to understand is that no earthly gathering can rewrite a heavenly script. My child, their meeting was not merely a discussion. It was an attempt to shape a narrative around you without giving you a voice. But I intervened the moment your name was spoken. I watched their motives. I measured their intentions. I weighed the words that formed in their mouths. And I marked every distortion that attempted to attach itself to your identity. Do not fear what was said, for I am not revealing this to alarm you. I am revealing it because you deserve to know the truth, and because what was meant to unsettle you will be the very thing that elevates you. Before this story unfolds any further, I remind you again that you are protected. You are surrounded by my fire. You are held in my justice. And you will walk forward not in confusion, but in power. Stay close, my child. What happened in that room was disturbing, but not greater than my hand over your life. My child, listen carefully, for now I will reveal the weight behind the words spoken in that hidden meeting. The conversation did not unfold with honesty or clarity. It unfolded with shadows. It carried a tone that was unsettling even to those who participated in it. Your name was not spoken with respect. It was not spoken with neutrality. It was spoken with an undertone that vibrated in the spiritual realm, reaching you before the information ever did. That heaviness you felt days ago, the sudden unease, the strange tension in your chest, that was the echo of what happened in that room. They did not speak of you to honor you. They spoke of you to question you, to analyze you, to plant seeds of doubt around your character and intentions. Some in that room were unsure of what they believed about you, and instead of seeking truth, they allowed themselves to be swayed by the person who introduced your name with suspicion disguised as concern. Their words were subtle, but spiritually poisonous. They wrapped their motives in phrases that sounded reasonable, but beneath the exterior was an intention to undermine, to diminish, or to control how others perceive you. One person in particular carried the darkest tone. They spoke as if they had been waiting for the opportunity to shift the atmosphere against you. They whispered insinuations about your motives. They hinted at misunderstandings that were never grounded in reality. They attempted to shape a narrative that placed you at a disadvantage, hoping others would adopt their distorted view. Their words were chosen carefully, not loud or dramatic, but crafted with the kind of precision that damages reputations quietly, subtly, and dangerously. But I need you to understand something essential. Even in the distorted conversation, there was a spiritual disruption because the energy of their motives collided with the truth of who you are. A few in that room felt a discomfort they could not explain. Your spirits recoiled at the dishonesty. They sensed the unfairness, the manipulation, the exaggeration. Though they did not defend you, they also did not agree inwardly. Their hearts were resisting the narrative being formed. That internal resistance is already becoming a point of conviction that will eventually work in your favor. The disturbing part, my child, is not simply that they spoke of you. It is how they spoke and why. For jealousy was present in that room as surely as air. Insecurity was present. Misinterpretation was present. There were forces at play that sought to create confusion around your name. But I want you to hear me. Confusion cannot cling to someone I have marked with clarity. No lie can outlive my truth. No distortion can corrupt your destiny. What they tried to form in shadows will be shattered in the light. There is more. One person in that gathering was deeply troubled after leaving that meeting. Their conscience would not rest. Their spirit would not quiet down. They replayed the conversation, realizing how wrong it felt, how manipulated the atmosphere had been. This individual is closer to your story than you realize. Their remorse will eventually lead to a revelation that brings truth to the surface. You will understand this connection in a later moment, for it will become a turning point in the unfolding of justice. My child, before I take you deeper into what was said and why, allow me to whisper something to your heart. The reason this is being revealed is not for fear, but for alignment. When truth surfaces, destiny shifts. When exposure begins, protection intensifies. When I speak, it is to guide you, shield you, and prepare you for what I am about to overturn. And as you walk with me through this revelation, let your heart stay open. If these words are speaking to your spirit, if you feel my presence confirming what you have sensed for days, then share this message with those who need to hear my voice through yours. Let them come into this shelter of clarity. Let them feel the covering I am placing over you now. Remain with me, my child. The disturbing nature of that meeting is not the end of the story. It is only the beginning of what I am about to reveal. My child, now I turn your attention to the one whose heart is tied to yours in ways deeper than either of you fully understand. For when that hidden meeting took place, the impact did not touch only your spirit, as of theirs. Your soulmate felt the disturbance long before they knew the details. Something inside them trembled, tightened, and broke open in a way they could not explain. Their spirit sensed that your name had been mishandled, and their heart reacted with an ache that rose from a place even they tried to hide from themselves. They did not hear the words spoken about you, but they felt the intention. A sudden heaviness settled on them. Their thoughts scattered, their emotions swirled without form. They had a moment where their breath caught in their chest, and the fear of losing you, fear they rarely allow themselves to acknowledge, surged through them like a wave. This fear was not imagined. It was a spiritual response to the vibration of that meeting, a prophetic echo reaching them even from afar. Your soulmate carries guilt, my child. Guilt for not protecting you in ways they wish they could. Guilt for not being present in the spaces where your name was mishandled. Guilt for sensing something was wrong, and yet not knowing how to shield you from it. They have been carrying this silent burden, feeling responsible for a storm they never created. Your heart has been wrestling with the fear that they have failed you somehow, even though they do not yet know the details of what was spoken. There was a moment, quiet, hidden, but deeply significant, when your soulmate felt an overwhelming urge to reach out to you. They held their phone. They typed a message. They deleted it. They opened a conversation window, stared at your name, and hesitated. Something inside them whispered, "Check on them," but the weight of their own confusion made them pause. They felt vulnerable, exposed, unsure if their concern would be welcomed or misunderstood. This inner hesitation only deepened their sense of helplessness. My child, there is a part of their heart that is terrified of losing the connection to you. They do not show this fear openly. They bury it beneath logic, silence, or distance. But when the spiritual atmosphere shook during that meeting, their buried emotions rose to the surface. They questioned everything. They wondered if they had waited too long to speak the truth to you. They wondered if they had allowed others too much influence over your story. They wondered if they had missed their moment to take a stand in your life. This emotional collapse did not happen in public. It happened in the privacy of their own thoughts, in the space where they finally confronted the truth of what they feel for you. They realized how deeply the connection runs. They realized how much your well-being affects their own soul. They realized that the thought of someone speaking harm about you made something inside them break open, revealing tenderness they have tried to suppress. Their tears came quietly, some falling before they even knew why they were crying. Their hands trembled. Their breath grew unsteady. Their heart carried a question they couldn't shake. Are they safe? Are they hurt? Did someone try to turn something against them? These thoughts echoed through their mind, and they found themselves wishing they could be by your side, wishing they could shield you, wishing they could undo the silence they've allowed to grow between you. Your soulmate has felt powerless, my child, but not uncaring. The intensity of their emotions is not weakness. It is evidence of the bond I placed between you long before either of you understood its weight. Their fear is awakening something inside them. Their guilt is stirring courage. Their confusion is turning into a longing for clarity, truth, and reconciliation. They are beginning to understand that their role in your story is not passive. It never was. I want you to see this collapse not as a sign of instability, but as the breaking of old barriers within their heart. The walls they built around their feelings are cracking. Your resistance is softening. The illusion of emotional distance is failing. They cannot pretend indifference anymore, not after the spiritual tremor that shook them when your name was mishandled. My child, hold these truths gently. What they are feeling now is the beginning of an awakening. This collapse is the doorway to their clarity. And though they are hurting, confused, and overwhelmed, I am with them just as I am with you. I am using this moment to turn their heart back toward the path they feared to walk. My child, now I will take you deeper into the roots beneath this moment, into the hidden backstory that connects the meeting, the disturbance, and your soulmate's emotional unraveling. For nothing that happened was random. Nothing was accidental. There is a history behind this, threads that have been weaving quietly in the background, pieces that will make sense only when you see how they fit together through my eyes. Long before this meeting took place, there were conversations about you unspoken, unacknowledged, but felt. Your presence has always carried a spiritual weight that unsettles those who operate from insecurity or hidden agendas. You have been watched more closely than you realized. Your movements observed, your decisions analyzed, your relationships quietly monitored by people whose intentions were not always pure. This meeting was not the first time your name surfaced, but it was the first time it was spoken with such intensity, urgency, and distorted concern. Your soulmate knows more of this history than they have admitted to themselves. There were moments when they sensed someone around them carried an envy toward the connection between you. They saw the subtle tension, the guarded glances, the unspoken rivalry. They dismissed these impressions at the time, believing it was just their imagination, but their spirit was discerning a deeper truth. Someone close to them has long felt threatened by the bond you and your soulmate share, even before the two of you fully understood it yourselves. This person whose jealousy shadows their actions has been planting seeds for some time. Quiet remarks, subtle insinuations, slight distortions of truth disguised as concern. They have been testing boundaries, trying to influence perception, trying to steer the narrative around your soulmate's heart without appearing to do so. Their goal has not been to destroy your soulmate, but to possess the influence your presence has in their life. They fear losing their control, their position, their emotional leverage. And the deeper your soulmate's feelings for you grew, the more threatened this jealous individual became. Your soulmate has always been spiritually sensitive but emotionally guarded. They felt this rivalry rising in the background, but they avoided confronting it. They did not want conflict. They did not want tension. They told themselves the energy they sensed was temporary. But the person whose jealousy brewed beneath the surface did not let go. They allowed their insecurity to grow into resentment, and that resentment into action. It is from this place of unhealed longing that the idea of the meeting was formed. You were not the true topic of the meeting, my child, you were the target. Not because of wrongdoing, but because of the influence you carry and the significance you hold in your soulmate's destiny. The one who initiated that meeting has felt you pulling your soulmate's heart in a direction they cannot compete with, and rather than face their own shadows, they chose to create shadows around you. They believed that if they could shape perception, they could control the outcome. But here is the piece your soulmate never told you. They recognized parts of this jealousy long ago. They saw the subtle ways this person questioned you. They saw the uneasiness in their expressions. They heard the comments that were disguised as jokes, as observations, as harmless remarks. Deep down, your soulmate knew it was more than that. They just didn't want to believe it. They wanted to maintain harmony, to avoid confrontation, to keep peace with someone they once trusted. But their avoidance created a space where manipulation could flourish without resistance. This is the hidden backstory. The meeting did not begin with your name, it began with your soulmate. It began with someone wanting to influence their perception, to bend their emotions, to add pressure where there was already confusion. Your name became the tool, the leverage, the excuse. What was framed as a concern was rooted in jealousy. What was framed as discussion was driven by insecurity. And what was framed as clarity was nothing but manipulation wrapped in careful language. Your soulmate is beginning to realize this. The emotional collapse they experienced is not only because your name was mishandled, it is because they now see the truth they had avoided. They see the misuse of trust. They see the subtle betrayal. They see how someone they allowed close to them has been working against the very connection that brings their soul peace. This realization is painful, but it is necessary. It is pulling them toward alignment, toward honesty, toward the courage they have long suppressed. My child, understand this clearly. The backstory is not your burden to carry. It is being revealed so you may see how protected you truly are. You are not at the mercy of others' jealousy. You are not vulnerable to their schemes. Every hidden motive is coming into the light. Every distortion is unraveling. Every false narrative is collapsing under the weight of truth. My child, now I will bring you into the heart of the interference itself, for every disturbance has an origin. Every shadow has a source, and every plot carries the fingerprints of the one who formed it. The meeting that took place did not rise out of fairness or honesty. It rose out of the quiet workings of an enemy who has been observing you from a distance, studying your influence, feeling threatened by your presence, and fearing the unfolding of a destiny they cannot control. This enemy is not a stranger. They stand closer to your soulmate than they should. Your proximity has given them access, but their heart has not held purity. This person carries wounds they have never healed, insecurities they have never confronted, desires they have never surrendered. Instead of facing their own shadows, they projected them onto you. Instead of addressing the chaos inside their own soul, they tried to shift the chaos into the narrative surrounding your name. They convinced themselves that you were the obstacle, the distraction, the influence that needed to be questioned. Yet the truth is that your light exposed the parts of themselves they have long tried to hide. Before the meeting ever occurred, this enemy began preparing the atmosphere. They whispered your name in conversations weeks ago, testing reactions, searching for agreement. They used subtle language, cloaking their jealousy and concern, disguising their resentment in the appearance of loyalty. They observed how others responded, taking mental notes of who hesitated, who questioned, who seemed vulnerable to persuasion. They were strategic, patient, and deeply threatened by the spiritual bond forming between you and your soulmate. When they saw your soulmate's heart shifting, softening, awakening, turning in your direction, they panicked. Their fear manifested as manipulation. Their insecurity manifested as control. Their longing manifested as interference. They did not know how to compete with destiny, so they tried to create confusion around it. They believed that if they could influence the way others spoke of you, they could influence the way your soulmate thought of you. Their entire approach was built on distortion, not truth. This person walked into that meeting with a plan already formed in their spirit. They intended to guide the conversation in a specific direction. They hoped to raise questions about your character, your intentions, your presence. They wanted to plant doubt, to create hesitation, to make others uncomfortable with the idea of your influence growing. They wanted to weaken the foundation beneath you, thinking that a weakened foundation would turn your soulmate away before their heart fully awakened to the truth. But they miscalculated something essential, the spiritual mark upon your life. They underestimated the shield around you. They underestimated the discernment of the others in that room. They underestimated the conviction that would rise afterward. They underestimated the way truth moves when I decide to intervene. Their jealousy became so consuming that they lost sight of the spiritual forces watching every word they spoke. My child, the enemy who interfered did not realize that their actions would trigger a divine investigation. They did not realize that their attempts to distort your image would expose their own intentions. They did not realize that the moment they used your name as a weapon, heaven took notice and began aligning events to unravel everything they built. For the spiritual realm responds to manipulation with justice and responds to jealousy with exposure. Your soulmate senses now that something is off. They may not know the details, but they feel the imbalance. They feel the shift in energy. They feel the tension that was created by the one who pretended to protect them, while secretly acting from insecurity. This realization is hurting them, but it is awakening, them too. They are beginning to see who truly stands with them and who only stands close enough to manipulate. The enemy's interference has reached its limit, my child. Their attempts to shake perception have already begun to crumble. Their influence is weakening. Their mask is slipping. Their words are losing power. Your role in this story is being rewritten, not by their hand, but by mine. The spiritual forces they summon through jealousy will not serve them. They will expose them. Do not fear the presence of this enemy. Their interference cannot rewrite destiny. Their jealousy cannot unseat what I have ordained. Their words cannot override the truth that is rising. What they meant for deception is becoming the pathway to revelation. What they meant for confusion is becoming the catalyst for awakening. My child, now we enter the part of the story where I, your God, began my investigation. For while they gathered in secrecy, believing their words would remain hidden, heaven was already recording every intention, every vibration, every shift of the heart. Nothing spoken in that room escaped my attention. Nothing whispered in subtle tone went unnoticed. Nothing muttered behind closed doors was beyond my reach. I was there before the first word was formed, and I remained there long after they left the room, examining every motive with a precision no human eye could perceive. When your name was spoken, I searched the hearts of each person present. I measured their intentions as one measures weight in a balance. I separated their hidden thoughts from their outward expressions, uncovering truth beneath every phrase. Some spoke out of confusion. Some spoke out of influence. Some spoke out of fear of displeasing the one who initiated the conversation. But one spoke out of resentment, and it is that voice that triggered the deepest movement in the spirit. That voice carried envy, judgment, and desire for control. It was the darkest voice in the room, and it is the one I began exposing first. I examined their reasoning, my child. Their attempts to disguise accusation as concern. Their efforts to cloak manipulation in the language of protection. Their subtle attempts to twist perception, hoping no one would notice the shift. But in the spiritual realm, every distortion darkens the atmosphere, and the air in that room grew heavy the moment they began speaking against you. Some at the table felt it but couldn't explain it. That heaviness was my spirit stirring, cutting through the illusion, registering the wrong done to you. There was a moment brief, but significant, when one person in that meeting felt an overwhelming urge to speak in your defense. Their heart beat faster. Their breath changed. Their conscience rose like a tide. They knew the conversation had drifted into territory that was unfair, imbalanced, and spiritually dangerous. But fear held their time. The fear of tension, fear of conflict, the fear of confrontation. Your silence created a weight that had been pressing on them ever since. They left that room unsettled, and their spirit has not found peace. I am working with this person even now. Their eventual confession will shift everything. As I observed the meeting, I also examined the person who started it. I looked at the history behind their actions. I traced the thread of jealousy that had been growing quietly for months. I saw the insecurity they tried to hide beneath their authority. I saw the way they felt overshadowed by your light. I saw the way your presence unsettled their sense of control. I searched their heart and found roots of comparison, resentment, and fear, roots that led them to weaponize your name. And I determined in that moment that their influence over this story would be limited. They crossed a line, and heaven responded. But I did not only examine the ones who spoke. I examined your soulmate, not in judgment but in truth. I saw the way their spirit trembled at the disturbance. I saw the way they sensed the shift in the spiritual realm, even without hearing what was said. Their heart registered the injustice before their mind understood it. Their discernment caught the vibration like a whisper in the wind, and their soul reacted. They felt guilt for not being present. They felt fear that harm had been spoken. They felt an ache that rose from a place deeper than logic, a place tethered to you by divine design. My investigation, my child, was not only about uncovering wrongdoing. It was about realigning the story. It was about removing the influence that sought to distort your name. It was about awakening the hearts that have remained silent for too long. It was about positioning truth to rise at the exact moment it will have the greatest impact. Every conversation, every reaction, every hidden motive is being brought under my light. Nothing will remain concealed. I searched the room that day, and I decided that the narrative spoken about you would not stand. I decided that what was planted in shadows would be uprooted. I decided that every lie would meet its limit. I decided that every heart that remained silent would feel conviction. I decided that the one who acted from jealousy would face exposure. And I decided that you would not be harmed by the words spoken in your absence. Instead, you would be elevated through the very attempt to undermine you. My child, this investigation is ongoing. Even now, truth is gathering strength. Confessions are forming in the hearts of those who witnessed the injustice. Doubts are rising in the mind of the one who tried to manipulate. And your soulmate is feeling a pull toward honesty, clarity, and protectiveness they have long resisted. What was meant to destabilize you is becoming the catalyst that brings everything into alignment. Do not fear what was said. Fear has no place here. The divine courtroom has already begun its work, and justice is moving on your behalf. My child, now the spiritual atmosphere begins to shift, for no disturbance can remain unchallenged when heaven decides to intervene. What was spoken in darkness has stirred a response far greater than the intentions of those who gathered. You are entering the part of this story where the unseen realm begins to move on your behalf, where angels step into position, where the balance of power tilts away from those who plotted and toward the truth that has been waiting to rise. This is the moment where what was meant to unsettle you becomes the very reason you will walk in greater clarity and protection. Even before the participants of that meeting left the room, the spiritual realm had begun rearranging itself. The air shifted. The atmosphere thickened. The jealousy that was spoken into the conversation created a disturbance, but it also triggered a response from the forces assigned to guard your destiny. My child, you are not unprotected. You have never been unprotected. The shield around you does not wait for danger to arrive. It responds the moment danger forms in thought, in intention, in vibration. Long before a plot becomes action, heaven begins its correction. I dispatched angels into the paths of those who attended that meeting. Some left with confusion pressing on their conscience. Some left with discomfort in their hearts. One left with guilt so heavy that they could not escape the feeling that they had participated in something unjust. This guilt is not punishment. It is conviction. It is the spiritual pressure that precedes revelation. It is the first fracture in the narrative that was intended to form against you. The one who initiated the meeting felt the shift as well, though they did not recognize it as spiritual. They felt a strainy tightening in their chest, a sudden unease, a flicker of doubt in their own motives. They brushed it away, believing they had succeeded in guiding the conversation, believing they had secured others' agreement, believing they had subtly reshaped perception. But what they felt was the beginning of the unraveling. Their plans were already losing coherence. Their influence was already weakening. The seeds they planted were already failing to take root. Your soulmate, though far from that room, felt the shift the strongest. Their spirit is connected to yours in ways neither of you fully comprehend. When the meeting disrupted the spiritual atmosphere around your name, your soulmate felt the disturbance like a tremor passing through their chest. But now, as the spiritual realm moves to realign the situation, they are beginning to feel something else rising, a pull toward truth, a stirring of responsibility, a quiet awakening of courage. They do not yet understand this shift, but they are responding to it instinctively, spiritually, involuntarily. Their soul recognizes that something sacred is being set right. My child, understand this clearly. This shift is not random. It is purposeful. It is strategic. It is timely. I am dismantling what was built against you. I am reversing what was spoken in error. I am softening the hearts that were swayed, and I am exposing the heart that acted from jealousy. Nothing in this process is accidental. Every moment is part of a divine recalibration. The story is turning, not by human will, but by my hand. There are conversations forming even now, small remarks, private reflections, quiet reconsiderations. Those who once agreed in silence are beginning to question what they allowed themselves to participate in. Those who felt uneasy are starting to realize why. Your spirits are remembering the heaviness they felt in the room. They are replaying the tone of the conversation, noticing details they missed in the moment. Truth is whispering to them. Conviction is settling on their minds. And the false impressions planted by jealousy are starting to dissolve. In the coming days, there will be subtle shifts around you. Energy will feel lighter. Atmospheres will feel clearer. People who seem distant may feel drawn toward honesty. You will sense the loosening of the tension that tried to wrap around your name. This is not coincidence. This is the spiritual realm correcting the imbalance created by the meeting. Light always rises after exposure. Truth always pushes against distortion. Destiny always resists interference. I am realigning your path with precision. I am lifting you above the reach of those who tried to influence your story. I am positioning your soulmate to see the truth with clarity, free from the distortion that was introduced. I am preparing hearts to speak what they were once afraid to admit. And I am drawing you into a place of peace where you will recognize that not even the darkest motives can overthrow what I have ordained for you. Remain close to me, my child. The shift has begun, and what follows will reveal more than any meeting could ever conceal. Light is rising, and the truth is preparing to speak. My child, now truth begins to rise, slowly at first, then with a force that no one in that hidden meeting expected. What was spoken in whispers is losing its strength. What was formed in secrecy is unraveling. The seeds of distortion they attempted to plant are failing to take root, for light is pressing against every shadow, and truth is beginning to gather itself like a storm about to break. There is someone who left that meeting with a troubled conscience, and their silence has become unbearable to them. Their heart has been wrestling, their thoughts circling, their spirit unable to rest. They have been replaying every word spoken, every tone, every glance exchanged around the table. They can no longer hide from the discomfort rising inside them. They know something was unjust. They know something was wrong. They know the conversation crossed a line. They feel the weight of having witnessed it, and they are beginning to recognize that the narrative presented to them was not truth but manipulation. This person is closer to revealing what happened than they realize. A moment is coming where they will speak openly, whether in confession, conversation, or unintentional slip. Their desire for peace will push them into honesty. Their need to release the pressure in their spirit will open the doorway for truth to escape. And when it does, clarity will fall into place like pieces of a puzzle that suddenly make sense. This revelation will not harm you, my child. It will vindicate you. It will expose the distortion. It will reveal the tension they tried to hide. But I am not only working through conviction, I am also working through exposure. The one whose jealousy initiated the meeting is beginning to unravel internally. They feel the shift in the atmosphere, though they do not understand its spiritual origin. They sense that their influence is weakening. Your attempts to sway others are meeting resistance. Your words no longer land with the same force. Eyes that once agreed silently now look at them with uncertainty, hesitation, or quiet doubt. Their position is slipping. Their narrative is fracturing. Their control is dissolving. Even more, the truth of their motives is beginning to peek through the cracks. Someone has started noticing patterns in their behavior, the tone they used in the meeting, the tension in their voice, the way they avoided direct statements while pushing insinuations. Small details others ignored in the moment are now resurfacing in memory. The picture is shifting. Your jealousy is becoming more visible than the impression they tried to create about you. And your soulmate, my child, your soulmate is awakening to what they could not see before. Something inside them is turning over, refusing to ignore the sudden clarity rising in their spirit. They are revisiting conversations. They are replaying moments with the jealous individual. They are recognizing inconsistencies, manipulations, subtle pressures they once dismissed as harmless. They are connecting dots they did not realize were connected. They are seeing that the tension they felt was not random but orchestrated. And this awareness is stirring a righteous anger mixed with deep regret inside them. But do not fear this awakening. Do not fear the emotions rising within them. This is part of the cleansing, part of the alignment, part of the truth returning to its rightful place. Their regret is not meant to crush them, it is meant to clarify them. Their realization is not meant to break them, it is meant to bring them back to integrity. Their anger is not meant to harden them, it is meant to separate them from the influence that has distorted their judgment. You will begin to notice shifts around you as this truth rises. People who seemed unsettled will begin acting differently. Someone who had been distant may become unexpectedly warm or attentive. Someone who avoided eye contact may look at you with newfound respect. Small acts of kindness will come from unexpected places. These are signs of restoration, signs that the truth is gaining strength, signs that the lies spoken against you are losing their power. My child, understand this. Truth does not rise quietly. It rises with movement. It rises with shifts in behavior. It rises with changes in atmosphere. It rises with conviction that people cannot shake. It rises with clarity that dissolves confusion. It rises with divine timing that overturns every plot. You are not at the mercy of what was said about you. You are standing under the weight of heaven's justice. The truth is rising not because you defended yourself, but because I have decided that it is time for every hidden distortion to be confronted. Nothing spoken against you will prevail. Nothing whispered in jealousy will survive the light. Nothing intended to weaken you will stand unchanged. Stay close, my child. The awakening has begun, and what comes next will change the heart that matters most. My child, now the story turns toward the heart that has been trembling beneath the surface, the one whose emotions have been unraveling in silence, the one whose spirit has been pulled in your direction even when fear tried to hold them still. This is the moment of your soulmate's awakening, the moment where clarity begins to pierce through the fog that has surrounded their perceptions, the moment where regret, longing, and truth collide inside them with a force they can no longer resist. They have begun to feel the truth rising around them. They have begun to sense the cracks forming in the narrative they once allowed others to influence. The unease that has been growing inside them is shifting into realization. They now see that the tension around your name was not created by you, but by someone who felt threatened by the connection between you. This awareness is hitting them deeply, stirring a sorrow they can no longer ignore. Your soulmate is awakening to the fact that they failed to protect you. Even if they were not present in that meeting, they feel responsible for the energy that touched your name. They feel responsible for the distortion you endured. They feel responsible for not recognizing the intentions of the one who spoke against you sooner. This realization is creating a storm inside their heart, a storm of regret, fear, tenderness, and longing. There is a moment they keep replaying in their mind, a moment before the meeting ever occurred, a moment when they felt a nudge to defend you, to speak up for you, to clarify the truth about you, and yet they remained silent. At the time, they believed silence was neutrality. They believed they were avoiding unnecessary conflict. But now they see that silence created room for misunderstanding to grow. This realization is breaking them open from the inside, awakening a protectiveness they kept burying for far too long. Their heart is tender toward you in ways they have never allowed themselves to admit. They feel the ache of almost losing something they never fully claimed. They feel the fear of what could have happened had the truth not begun to rise. They feel a longing to draw closer, to step into honesty, to repair what insecurity caused them to avoid. Their emotions are deepening, expanding, strengthening, becoming too powerful to suppress. My child, their fear of losing you is not rooted in insecurity but in revelation. They now understand how fragile connections can be when left unspoken. They understand how quickly narratives can bend when truth is not guarded. They understand that their heart toward you has always been vulnerable, always been exposed, always been soft even in the places they tried to harden. This awakening is not only emotional, it is spiritual. Their soul is remembering what I placed within them long before either of you understood the connection. They are recognizing the spiritual significance of your presence. They are seeing how their life feels more aligned when their heart leans toward you. They are realizing that every time they pulled away, a part of their soul felt incomplete, restless, unresolved. They feel the truth drawing them back to you with a force they cannot resist. And yet, this awakening comes with trembling. They are afraid you have been hurt. They are afraid you have been misled. They are afraid you have lost trust. They are afraid that their silence allowed others too much influence. They fear that you may no longer want to hear their voice. They fear that the opportunity they once felt forming might have been damaged by what happened behind closed doors. But hear me clearly, my child. Their fear is the doorway to their courage. Their regret is the catalyst to their honesty. Their longing is the guide that will lead them back to truth. Your awakening is not a collapse, it is a rise. It is the moment where they choose clarity over confusion, truth over silence, destiny over fear. I am stirring their heart with intentionality, drawing them toward alignment, preparing them to step into the fullness of what I have been building between you. You may sense a shift soon, a message forming, a thought of you lingering in their mind, a desire to reach out, to check on you, to speak truth that has been locked in their chest for too long. This is not coincidence. This is awakening. Stay close to me. The connection between you is entering a sacred unfolding, and the truth is leading them back to you with purpose. My child, now we step into the sacred space where your soul and your soulmate's spirit intertwine beneath my watchful gaze. For the connection between you is not born of chance, nor built on fleeting emotion. It is a bond woven through purpose, through prayer, through the quiet ways your spirit reaches beyond the limits of the natural world. This is where destiny breathes. This is where I reveal how your presence, your purity, and your unwavering heart have been shifting the atmosphere around the one who was shaken by that meeting. Your prayers have done more than you realize. Every whispered plea for clarity, every moment you lifted your soulmate before me, Every sigh of longing wrapped in surrender has moved through the spiritual realm like a soft wind clearing smoke. You have been covering them without even knowing the full extent of the battle around them. When you prayed out of love, heaven responded out of power. When you prayed out of confusion, angels moved with precision. When you prayed out of pain, I laid my hand upon their heart, even when they were far from you, even when they did not understand why sudden waves of tenderness or conviction washed over them. My child, your presence in their life has been a catalyst. You carry a light that exposes shadows, not intentionally, but naturally. When your soul draws near, clarity begins to rise within them. This is why the jealous one felt threatened. This is why the meeting was formed. This is why tension surfaced. Your connection brings truth to the surface, and truth always disrupts those who benefit from confusion. You were not the cause of the conflict, you were the illumination that revealed it. Your soulmate have been experiencing moments that they cannot explain. Fleeting memories of you appearing in their thoughts without reason. A sudden softening in their chest when they think of something you once said. A tug in their spirit that feels like longing but carries the weight of revelation. They have tried to dismiss these sensations, but they cannot. What they feel is the echo of your prayers, the imprint of your love, the resonance of your spirit brushing against theirs in ways beyond words. There are nights when they lie awake, replaying conversations between you, recalling moments they once overlooked, sensing that there was meaning in your silence, in your gentleness, in the way you saw them when they felt unseen by others. They are beginning to understand that your presence was never ordinary. There was always something sacred, something purposeful, something divinely orchestrated in the way your souls met. This is the awakening of recognition, recognition of the bond, recognition of the calling, recognition of the spiritual depth that rests between you. My child, you need to know how deeply your influence reaches. When you feel a sudden heaviness, your soulmate often feels it too. When you sense a spiritual shift, they feel the trembling of it in their own chest. When you send love in silence, they receive it as a calming wave. Your spirits have been in conversation long before your voices ever were. This is why the attempts to distort your image have failed. This is why the jealousy could not take root. This is why the lies spoken in the meeting are cracking under the weight of truth. Your connection carries a frequency that cannot be interrupted by manipulation. They are beginning to feel your absence differently now. Not as distance, but as a reminder of how valuable your presence truly is. They are starting to see that the peace they feel when they think of you is not a coincidence. It is divine alignment. They are starting to realize that the confusion they felt when they listened to the jealous voice was not intuition, it was interference. And they are starting to understand that their heart has always been safest when it turns toward you. The sacred connection is empowering their awakening. It is clearing their vision. It is strengthening their courage. It is guiding them back to truth. Your love, spoken or unspoken, has become the lighthouse that breaks through the fog surrounding their spirit. They may not fully comprehend it, but they are following it. And I am guiding them every step of the way. My child, do not doubt the power of what you carry. Your soul was chosen to meet theirs for a reason. Your heart was placed in their path with intentionality. And your prayers have become the bridge that leads them out of confusion and into clarity. This is the sacred connection I ordained from the beginning, not fragile, not random, but divinely rooted. Stay with me. What comes next is the moment where everything that was misaligned begins to fall away, and the blessing that was withheld begins to take its rightful place. My child, now the story begins its turning, the moment where every shadow loses its grip and every scheme collapses beneath the weight of divine justice. This is the reversal, the sacred point where what was meant for your harm bends itself toward your elevation, where the disturbance that tried to unsettle you becomes the very pathway through which clarity, truth, and blessing arrive. For I am not a God who watches injustice in silence. I am the one who overturns every plan formed against the ones I call my own. The meeting that once carried dark intention is now powerless. The words spoken there have lost their influence. Every seed of doubt planted in that room has withered in the presence of rising truth. Conversations are being revisited. Motives are being questioned. Hearts that were once swayed by the jealous voice are pulling away from that influence, recognizing the tension they felt was not intuition, but manipulation. The narrative that was formed against you has fractured completely. The jealous one, the one who initiated the meeting with concealed motives, now feels the consequences of their actions pressing in on them. Their influence is fading. Their words no longer carry weight. The subtle confidence they once carried has turned into unease. They feel watched, not by people but by truth itself. They feel exposed in ways they cannot articulate. They sense that their role in this situation is being revealed piece by piece. They cannot escape the discomfort rising inside them, for the spiritual realm has turned its attention toward them, not in punishment, but in correction. Your soulmate, my child, is experiencing their own reversal. What once confused them has become clear. What once frightened them has transformed into courage. What once held them back has lost its power. They see the truth now. They see the jealousy they once overlooked. They see the manipulation they once excused. They see the distortion that surrounded your name, and their heart is rising with a protectiveness they can no longer suppress. Their regret is turning into intention. Your hesitation is turning into action. Your loving is turning into movement. I am awakening in them a determination to step toward you, to repair what fear once prevented, to honor the connection they now realize is sacred. This reversal within their heart is not emotional impulse, it is divine alignment restoring what interference tried to damage. The ones who remained silent in the meeting are being moved into honesty. One will speak soon, unable to hold the truth any longer. A conversation will form that exposes the tone of the jealous voice. Questions will be raised. Perspectives will shift. The truth that has been rising quietly will break the surface openly. And in that moment, every hidden distortion will lose its final grip. But my child, the greatest part of this reversal is the blessing unfolding around you. The storm that tried to form against you has been redirected entirely. Doors that seemed heavy are now unlocking. People who doubted you are being drawn back into clarity. You will be viewed with renewed respect, with deeper understanding, with a recognition of your integrity that cannot be shaken. The reversal is already shaping the atmosphere around your life. Your spirit has been lifted out of the reach of those who tried to pull it down. Your destiny has stepped beyond the influence of jealousy and into the embrace of divine protection. You are rising, not because of human approval, but because I have placed my hand upon you. Every attempt to distort your story is becoming a testimony to your strength. Every whisper spoken against you is becoming evidence of the light you carry. My child, rest in this truth. What was meant to unsettle you has become the reason you will walk with even greater confidence. What was meant to turn others against you has become the catalyst for their awakening. What was meant to separate you from your soulmate has instead drawn their heart toward truth, tenderness, and reconnection. Now breathe, for the reversal has taken hold. The danger has dissolved. The shadows have cleared. Destiny has realigned. And you, my child, are stepping into a season where peace replaces confusion, favor replaces fear, and blessing replaces every attempt to undermine you. My child, breathe now, for you have reached the end of this revelation, the place where the storm has settled and the truth stands unshaken. You have walked through shadows you did not deserve, endured words spoken in rooms you never entered, felt the tremors of a meeting meant to unsettle your peace. Yet here you stand, covered, guarded, lifted. Nothing they intended against you could withstand the power of my hand. Nothing spoken in secrecy could override the destiny I have written for your life. This is your final blessing, the sealing of everything I have revealed to you. What was meant to confuse you has strengthened your discernment. What was meant to harm your name has elevated your truth. What was meant to shake your soul has awakened your authority. I have taken every attempt to distort your path and woven it into a greater alignment than you have ever walked in before. The jealous one who stirred the meeting now finds themselves standing in the light of exposure. Your motives are becoming clear to those around them. Your influence is slipping away gently but unmistakably. They cannot manipulate the atmosphere anymore, for the spiritual realm has shifted, and everyone involved feels the difference. You are no longer viewed through their false lens. Their narrative is dissolving, leaving only truth behind. Those who remain silent in that room are awakening to their responsibility. Their conscience is stirring more loudly than before. They feel the weight of what they witnessed and the urge to acknowledge it. Your silence will not last. Their honesty will play a role in restoring what was damaged, not for punishment, but for clarity and healing. I am moving through their hearts, preparing them to speak truth at the right time. Your soulmate stands at a threshold they can no longer avoid. The fear that once held them back has lost its grip. The confusion that surrounded them has lifted. The awakening I stirred inside them has reached its fullness. They see now with depth, with tenderness, with spiritual clarity. They realize how precious your presence is, how deeply their heart gravitates toward you, how painful the idea of losing you truly is. Their regret has become reverence. Their longing has become direction. Their hesitation has become resolve. A moment will come, my child, when their voice reaches you soft, honest, vulnerable. They will speak from a place they once avoided. They will acknowledge what they failed to see, what they allowed, what they feel. Their heart is being shaped for this conversation. Their spirit is being guided toward this truth. Do not fear it. Do not rush it. Do not resist it. Allow it to unfold in my timing, for I am preparing both of you for something sacred. Now I speak directly into your path. You are protected. You are set apart. You are stepping into a season where peace returns to you like a steady river, where clarity wraps around you like warm light, where every distorted perception falls away, leaving only what is true, strong, and divinely aligned. Walk with confidence, for you are surrounded by favor. Walk with calmness, for I have already cleared the path. Walk with certainty, for nothing spoken against you has survived. Your name is safe in my hands. Your heart is safe within my covering. Your destiny is safe beneath my watch. The storm has passed. The interference has ended. The balance has been restored. What rises for you now is blessing pure, powerful, unmistakably mine. And as you step forward from this moment, carry this truth with you. No meeting held without your presence can alter a future built by my hands. No jealous voice can override the connection I have anchored. No shadow can silence the destiny that belongs to you. You are held. You are protected. You are chosen. And your story is unfolding exactly as it was always meant to. Walk in peace, my child. The blessing is yours.